Start. So Casey, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you for coming on and chatting with me. Just want to start off by asking, who your journey is about, who it involves, when did it start, anything. This is your time to talk, whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. Mine is about my nephew Cam. So some of this is probably going to be really hard for me. This is kind of fresh.
Take your time.
He passed away on October 23rd of this year. He was 15. And it was a hunting accident. He was shot. And whenever I say nephew, it's more like a son to me. I helped raise him for the first half of his life. His father is my husband's brother and his mother is my sister. So our kids were like double cousins. But my sister and my husband's brother, they were, on drugs pretty much their whole life. So they just never, they didn't take care of him. In and out of jail. So that's why he pretty much lived with us for the first half of his life. So
I'm sorry.
It's much more than losing a nephew. It's truly like I lost my son. So it's hard.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's like I've lost people close to me before. But this one, it was just different. Like I remember, like I've lost my grandmother before and like I couldn't, like to this day, I don't know what day she passed away. I don't know the day of her funeral. But like I know every single detail about this one. I know the time that I got the phone call. I'll always remember the day. I'll always remember the day that he got buried. It's just you hear people who grieve so hard for someone that passed, and I'm thankful that I got this far in life without knowing what that was like. But yeah, it's like I get it now. I get what it feels like to just grieve so hard and feel like you literally lost a piece of yourself.
How are things with your sister and your brother-in-law with everything?
I still don't talk to my sister. My sister's she's been clean, I guess, maybe going on a year and a half now. So we haven't really had a relationship from the time she's 33, 34 now, and we haven't really had a relationship ever since she's been 16. So she just had another baby. She's been clean 2 years now. So I don't really know about her. She didn't even, like in the obituary, he went to live with my brother-in-law, his dad, when he got out of prison. My mother-in-law actually had custody of him. She still had custody of him. She just let him go and live with him. because she thought that was the right thing to do. You know, he had been clean for a little over 2 years, I guess. So he only lived with his dad for the last 5 years of his life. And like, we still don't really have a relationship with them either. I mean, we went up there and on holidays and stuff, but that was just to see him and, you know, his nieces and nephews, or our nieces and nephews, his brothers and sisters. But since he's passed, like, we haven't had any contact with him. There's a lot of resentment there. You know, no one, I know that he was with his uncle, and I know no one purposely wanted to hurt him, but he was only 15, and his uncle was a retired police officer. So, you know, he was in the car with a loaded shotgun, and whenever they turned the corner, my nephew went to grab it and it went off. So, you know, there's so much anger. Like, you're an adult, you're a retired police officer. Like, why was there a loaded gun in the car? And his dad, you know, like, why wouldn't you teach your son better gun safety? You know, he loved to hunt. He did. He loved it. He loved it so much. But I just wish they would have stressed the importance of gun safety if he was going to be, you know. So, and I mean, it hasn't been that long. So, I mean, yeah, there's still just a lot of anger, and, you know,
dynamic is just gone.
Yeah. So, yeah.
How are you and your husband holding up?
I wouldn't have been able to get through that first 2 weeks, especially the first week, without him. I actually don't even know. Like, I remember the day that we got the call, and I remember going to the hospital. I remember every single detail, but like, coming home from that and the week up until the funeral, like, I still don't even know, like, what happened.
Yeah.
Like, the whole week was just a complete blur. Like, I didn't eat anything. Like, I didn't answer any texts, any phone calls. I didn't get on Facebook. Like, I was so terrified to even see someone post his obituary. I was so scared that a memory was going to pop up on my phone with him. Like, I was scared to even look at a picture of him. And like, my kids have never seen me like that, you know. Like, I just remember my daughter, she's only 13, and she kept asking my husband, like, is mom gonna be okay? Because I feel like I'm the one who always holds it together for everyone. So just for her to see me completely just numb.
Okay, that's okay.
So that was hard. Yeah, I know, it's just surreal, the pain. It just really is. Like, I think I cried for an entire month every single day.
I believe it. Yeah.
And just mad, and really just every emotion.
And things come up and you're like, I didn't even know I had that or knew that emotion.
Yes. And like, my faith, it is truly rocked my faith to its core completely.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm still trying to get back to, because that's something that I always had. And I loved that, that was always something that I had and that I could fall back on. And it was like, but that's the only thing I ever prayed for, was to never, never wanted to be rich. I never wanted to be skinny. Like that's the only thing I ever prayed for. It was like, don't let anything happen to any of my kids. And it's like that happened,
Yeah.
So
how are your kids handling it?
My son, he's 22 and he's moved out with his girlfriend. But I think he's doing okay. I still talk to him weekly and see him weekly. So I think he's okay with it. My daughter, I think my son had a harder time because he was older when my nephew lived with me. So he has more memories. My daughter, she was smaller then. So I don't think she has as much memory of whenever he lived with us. But she'll come to me. She has dreams of him a lot. So
oh, that's nice.
Yeah. She said that he'll just come and sit on her bed and talk to her. And she said every time he'll say, I'm gonna wake you up now. And she said, and then it's time to get up for the day.
I just got chills.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I'm like, what did he look like? And she's like, he looks like how he did it, at his age whenever he passed. And I was, and like, I have lots of dreams of him, but it's all whenever he's little, like whenever he lived with us, So I always tell her, I'm like, you're so lucky, because that's all I want to do. I want to see him, because we didn't get to see him a lot his last 5 years. Because like I said, we didn't really get along. Not that we didn't get along. It was just a weird dynamic with his brother. Just a lot of stuff happened, with him being on drugs. And it was just.
And it was the other brother that was the ex-cop?
It was his not my husband's side of the family.
Oh, okay.
They had a mom, but they had different dads. So it was his uncle through his dad's side of the family. So we didn't even know them. So
how is your mother-in-law holding up? I can imagine she's probably
not good. No. Like she shouldn't blame herself, but I know she is. Yeah. And not to say I've never said anything to her, but like I have blamed myself, because we asked for custody of him. But I think she was afraid that once his dad got out of prison, that we would never let him see him, which that wouldn't have been the case, but I wouldn't have given him to him. Once he was mine, he was mine. Yeah. So she's not good. She's already battled depression, and she's already on antidepressants and a whole bunch of health problems. She's probably on 15 different kinds of medication, so she lives alone. So
that's another worry.
Yeah. And that's all she posts on Facebook anymore is, just like how much she misses him and she can't wait to see him again. And so her sitting at home by herself, because that's when it's worse for me, whenever I'm at home alone with myself.
Yeah.
So she has a lot of alone time to, sit with her thoughts. So
yeah, thinking is never good, especially in a situation like this.
Right. Oh.
I'm so sorry for you guys.
Thank you.
Have you been able to find anything just to help you give you a reason to wake up in the morning? I know in the beginning, I think that's when you need to give yourself the most credit, is when you wake up in the morning. Because
Right.
it's hard. It's easy to not want to.
Right. Yeah, the first, I want to say after the third week, probably I started to see a counselor online. Yeah. So,
And that's fast. A lot of people wait months.
and like now that I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, everybody kept saying like, because I remember I just kept telling my husband, like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, I don't know how it's possible to even to go on with life. And he kept saying, you will, you can do it. You know, you just got to give yourself time. And I was like, no, like, it's never going to be any different. But like, it is true looking back on it now, you know, like it does. Not that it hurts any less, but it does get easier with time. It really, really does. Coming from a time when I thought, you know, like this is my everyday now, you know, like waking up crying and going to bed crying. Like I was like, that's just my life now. So it has gotten better for sure. I can look at pictures of him now without, you know, breaking down. And so yeah, it's gotten easier, and joining the support groups on Facebook, like that has helped me like the biggest, I think, just because whenever you, especially with my girlfriends, like I don't know, it's just good to see that someone else feels the way you do, because it truly is. You don't know unless you know.
Yeah.
You know, so it feels good to connect with people who, as sad as it is, that are hurting on the same level as you, because they get it, you know. So, and reading the quotes that they put in there, it's just like, they're just so perfect. It's like exactly how you feel, but you don't have to, you know, share it or whatever with anyone. So
Yeah.
I think that's been the biggest help, is joining the support groups on Facebook. So
has someone said something to you that you would bring to somebody who was going through something?
You know, I don't think that I can say that, just because I remember that day at the funeral, like everybody, you know, of course they come up to you and they want to console you, and but like I didn't want to hear any of that then, you know. Like people who said, like the one that I hate the most was, God has a plan, you just can't see it yet. And I'm like, I just didn't want to hear it, you know. Like everyone who still had their kids, who said anything to me, all I wanted to look at them and say was, and I know they were trying to help, you know, but all I wanted to say was like, you don't know, you haven't lost a kid, you don't know. You know, so yeah, I really don't have anything to say. I mean, maybe to join support groups on Facebook, because that's truly what has helped me the most.
Did you find your therapist helped you?
No, not really. I saw her 3 times. And I don't know if that was because it was online as opposed to seeing someone in person. And that was the first time that I had ever spoken with a therapist. So, no, I don't feel like it was any more helpful than what my husband helped me with, you know. But we've been through a lot. Me and my husband have been together for 23 years now. So, that was my biggest support. You know, he knows me in and out. He knew exactly, you know, what I needed and what I needed to hear and didn't hear at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, therapy didn't really do
It's not for everybody,
right.
you know. I was gonna ask you something and I don't remember what it was. I know this is gonna sound stupid because I like in like the situation that I'm going through, which is why I started this.
Your sister, right?
My sister, yeah.
Mhm.
And completely unexpected, completely tragic thing that happened. Everyone's like, oh, like this happened to teach you something. I'm like, I would rather learn nothing than I would rather hear her here than learn a lesson from this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I know this is going to sound weird. You know, if what happened never happened, like I wouldn't be talking to people and I wouldn't be bringing up, I feel like grief has such a stigma because it makes people uncomfortable. No one wants to talk about it. And I never would have thought to do something like this had I not been in the situation that I'm in.
Right.
Would I say that that's what I learned, and I'm glad I'm doing this. I'm glad I'm doing this. And, you know, connecting with people. We met from, again, the Facebook support group.
Right.
But when someone said to you, God's plan, I just, it like all intertwines. I'm like, that's no.
Right.
Frustrating.
Right.
Because like you said, unless you've been there and you understand, and you know, I just want to turn around and be like, okay, imagine you in this situation right now. Would you want someone to say that to you?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, just I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I've kept in touch with my nephew's girlfriend too, that he had. She's
oh, poor her.
Yeah. Yeah. She was just texting with him like literally minutes before it happened. So
she was the same age, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Oh,
her first boyfriend.
Poor girl.
And she said she kept getting these calls from her friends saying, you know, like a 15-year-old boy just died, because it's a small town where I live. And
where do you live?
In Jeffersonville, Indiana.
The other person I just spoke with lives in Indiana too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But the guy who my nephew was with, their last name, they're just really big in this town. They, you know, there's lots of them that are lawyers and firemen and policemen, and so just everybody knows them, you know. So word got out fast. Whenever, like my nephew, when he passed, the funeral home said it's the most people they've ever had, and they've been open for 35 years. Like,
I believe it. Yeah.
He wrestled for his school, and there were schools that came from, you know, different states, different counties. It was just crazy to see how many people loved him and how many people he touched, like just in his short amount of time here, you know.
How is she holding up?
I guess she's doing as well as could be expected. She actually just for Christmas she gave me a bracelet that he got buried in that she gave him. He wore it all the time, so she got me the exact same one.
Beautiful.
Yes, she's so wonderful. That's why, like, I keep telling my husband, I'm like, I don't know why, but like as soon as I met her at the funeral that day, it it was weird. It was just like this young girl, and I was like, and like we've stayed in touch, and I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I have some kind of connection with this girl, and we're gonna be in each other's lives forever, you know.
Yeah.
And I finally got to meet her parents whenever I went up there to get that Christmas gift, and she gave me some of his schoolwork that has his name on it, because me and my son and my husband were all going to go get tattoos. So I thought if it was in his handwriting, it would be, you know, that much more special. So
Yeah.
she gave me some of his schoolwork too. But
she's more mature and more thoughtful than most adults.
Oh my gosh, like I'm not even kidding. She has to be the sweetest, most polite, intelligent, like just special girl I've ever met ever for her age, truly. So yeah, I am thankful for that, you know. And her parents are wonderful, and they're just a good family. So I'm thankful that I'll be a part of their lives now too. So
yeah. I'm sorry for what happened. It was like just such a senseless tragedy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know, he's such a baby, 15 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we were supposed to see him on Halloween. We go up there and trick or treat with him every year. And he ended up passing away on the 23rd. So, yeah.
Has, you know, with my sister passing, you know, my best friend passed away 3 days prior.
Yeah, I watched your story. I remember seeing that. Yeah.
And it like makes you think, like, everyone's like, you know, there's always tomorrow. And everyone's like, life is so short. But like when something like this happens, you really know how short life is, and you don't know what is going to happen the next minute.
Right.
I know something that's helped me is reaching out to people just to tell them thank you for being in my life. You know, I just like little things like that. Has this, you know, experience changed your way of thinking, like in any way?
Absolutely. Like, that's all I kept saying was, I wish I had more time, you know. Like the last time I got to see him before he passed in October was in April. We went on a camping trip, and they let him come with us. So I got to spend 3 days with him. But like, that's all I said. Like, I wished I would have hugged him more. I wished I would have told him I loved him more, you know, like, I just wish I had more time with him, you know? So that definitely has, whenever I see people, you know, that I care about and that I love, I'm like, I want to show them how much I love them, you know, because like you truly don't know when it's going to be your last time to see them. So
Yeah.
That's what I told my husband. I said, if anything that it has taught me, it's that I don't want to have to question if I do lose someone again. I don't want that to be a question anymore to me, you know, because I still think that now. I'm like, oh my God, did he know how much I loved him? You know, because we didn't get to see him as much in his 5 years. So I'm just like, you know, I don't want to have that question if I lose anyone again, you know, like I want to know with 100% certainty that they knew how much they meant to me, for sure.
Have you ever thought about writing him a letter?
I've did that.
Did that help?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It truly felt, I believe I did it one night, maybe on a full moon or a new moon, and I took it outside and I read it like I was speaking to him, you know, and then I ended up burning it afterwards. So yeah, that felt good to do that for sure.
Yeah, and I know people always say, "Oh, they knew," but like you said, you want to make sure they know.
Right.
You don't want to assume.
Right.
Assuming assuming is just like, yeah, maybe, but
Right.
you know, knowing is like a different feeling.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for sharing him with us. I'm
Thank you
that what happened.
as well. I'm sorry for you losing your sister and your friend. So
Thank you. But if you ever want to talk, I would love to, we can stay connected and chat more.
absolutely.
That'd be nice.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we head off?
No, just that this was everything that I would hope it would be. I wasn't sure what to expect, but you've been great to talk to. And I'm really, really happy that we did this.
Thank you. Me too.
All righty. Thank
All right, you
you.
have a good rest of your night.
You too.